And the Mets pull off a trade for starting pitcher Dylan Cease this offseason. We are talking about that right here on the True Mets Talk podcast. What's up, Mets fans? It's your boy CP. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the True Mets Talk podcast. We are talking about a hypothetical trade of Dylan Cease to the New York Mets this offseason. Do they have what it takes? Will the Padres go ahead and trade Dylan Cease this offseason? Or will they wait to see how the season plays out and potentially make him available at the deadline? Before we get into it, please do hit those like buttons on this video. If you enjoy the content, subscribe if you are a new viewer. And as always, comment your thoughts and opinions down below on this hypothetical trade. And key emphasis on hypothetical. There have been no solidified reports of the Mets being linked to Dylan Cease this offseason. There was a lot of hype last offseason before he went to San Diego, whether or not the Mets were going to send the prospects necessary to acquire Dylan Cease. They chose to go another route in adding Manaea and Luis Severino, and Cease inevitably went to San Diego, where he went on to have a fantastic season. And these were his numbers from 2024, a complete rejuvenation than what he posted in a White Sox uniform in 2023. You can see he was a workhorse, just under 190 innings pitched at 189 and a third, 3.47 ERA, a 1.07 walks and hits per innings pitched metric, and a walk rate that was right at league average. So again, the walks were not an issue for Dylan Cease, but the put away stuff that he possesses in his arsenal is fantastic. 29.4% in the K rate category for Dylan Cease. He also possesses 4 pitches in his arsenal, but is predominantly reliant on a 4-seam fastball and a slider. And if we know anything about David Stearns, you know that he loves pitchers that possess a dominant slider. And dominant is exactly what it is. Opponents hit just 159 in the batting average category against his slider, and he clocks it in around 88 miles per hour, which is a nice 9-mile-per-hour differential than his 97-mile-per-hour 4-seam fastball. He also does possess a knuckle curveball and a sweeper as well for different looks to opponents. But again, 43% just above with the 4-seam fastball and around 42% with the slider. Those are his bread and butter pitches. His success should not be questioned. The type of pitcher that he is should not be questioned, especially coming off of a 2024 campaign where he had very successful numbers, as you see on your screen. What's more so advantageous if the New York Mets catch wind that the Padres are willing to deal him this offseason is that he is in the last year of his contract. He will be a rental, and the New York Mets would, at that point, if they make a deal for Cease, have the ability to extend him on their own terms. And because he is a rental, again, scheduled to make around $13.75 million in 2025, presumably the Padres aren't going to be getting as much in return for him than what they gave up for him, as I just mentioned a couple of minutes ago. Now, I'm always skeptical about Mets and Padres trades. It always seems like the Padres have this front of not sending star caliber players within the NL. They did so with Juan Soto, so I'd be skeptical if they send Dylan Cease to an NL rival, regardless if they're on the West Coast or the East Coast. But again, at this point, offloading that almost $14 million, if they do get Roki Sasaki, would be very advantageous for them. Again, at that ownership level, it would appear with everything that we've been hearing on the news surrounding what's going on over there. Now, clearly that's a big if. And if they don't land Roki Sasaki, we could very well see the Padres go ahead and keep Dylan Cease at least until the trade deadline to see what they will do in the first half of the season. But again, if they have no intentions on extending Dylan Cease, who is going to be cashing in on a payday, approaching his 29-year-old season coming up, he's entering the prime of his career, and he is going to get a long-term extension. If the Padres don't want to do that, and they know they're not willing to do that, a trade could still be on the horizon, whether they get Roki Sasaki or not. But do the Mets have what it takes and what the Padres want and what their needs are in a potential return? And to that, I say yes. Just a hypothetical trade. And you see the 2023 numbers for Cease in a White Sox uniform compared to his 2024 numbers in San Diego. Night and day different. Night and day different. It was a pretty lackluster, again, like I mentioned before, season for him. And the Padres definitely cashed in, knowing that he would probably bounce back to the pitcher that he was in 2022 and prior to that. But who do the Mets send to San Diego in this scenario? Well, they probably want a young, controllable pitcher as well as outfield help. We know they have Jackson Merrill. We know they have Fernando Tatis Jr., but that outfield is looking a little bit sparse outside of that. Blade Tidwell, number 9th ranked prospect, at least in the 2024 MLB pipeline for the New York Mets, and their list would be going over in a potential trade. Again, this is a trade that I put up for Dylan Cease from the New York Mets. I'm sure that there's a lot of other trade packages or trade machines that are trying to analyze and assess what a potential deal could look like with the Mets and any other team that could be in on Dylan Cease. But I've got Blade Tidwell going over in this trade. Again, 23 years old, had a lot of success at the AA level in Binghamton for the New York Mets, but really struggled in AAA. So he's probably looking at another season and a half in the minor leagues before he's able to come up and make an immediate impact on wherever he is in an organization, whether it's in New York or San Diego in this case. Nick Morabito, who is further along in the process, or I should say not as far along in the process, only posting tremendous numbers, a 297 batting average in high A ball for the New York Mets and their farm system. But he is projected to be a stud. And again, only high A balls worth of sample size. He also raked at the A ball level in St. Lucie for the New York Mets. That's some outfield help that the Mets can give the Padres. Alex Ramirez, who's still young, but has a lot of struggles and has had a lot of struggles at the AA level for the New York Mets. And also Max Kranick. And Max Kranick is kind of an important piece here because he's kind of that hybrid option for the San Diego Padres. You know, Blade Tidwell can't make that immediate impact, and Max Kranick, last offseason, we were talking about him potentially taking a back-end rotation spot. He is a hybrid MLB level-ready arm that you could platoon between the bullpen and the starting rotation, almost like a Jose Butto or Tyler McGill of sorts. So this is my hypothetical trade for Dylan Cease. Again, I just want to emphasize no concrete reports have linked the Mets to Dylan Cease this offseason. But when we continue to look at this rotation on paper, needing at least one more big name to headline this rotation, this is a perfect fit for the New York Mets to put up a perfect package, whether it's this one or something similar in a return to San Diego. Again, this is the True Mets Talk podcast. It's your boy CP. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this hypothetical deal. Let me know what you think about Dylan Cease or any other pitchers that we should be talking about on this channel as it pertains to the Mets pursuit. But again, as I mentioned in one of the previous videos, there is a world where the New York Mets are done adding starting pitching and they are rolling with what they got on paper right now. Again, subscribe to the channel, smash the like button. It's your boy CP. Until next video, peace.